I hear the trucks are coming, they're rolling around the bend. Good morning, welcome to the Nova Scotia Free Speech Bulletin podcast. Before I introduce my guests, I apologize I have not been around lately. A couple sick people in my family, traveling back and forth to hospitals. Had a battle with Facebook. They said I may be committing community standards, violating them. So they took me off. I had to give a picture of myself and my phone number before I got, and I did get my account back. They said I didn't violate their terms. So I guess you're guilty before you're proven innocent. But why I'm bringing all this up before I start my podcast with Sam, if anybody wants to follow me, they should really seriously follow me on X. Subscribe to our Rumble channel, because if my Facebook ever goes, I might just say the heck with it, because I'm really tired of all the censorship and things like this. By the way, we had Sam Field on with us before on the podcast quite a while ago, and I really enjoyed having him, and we welcome him back this morning on a sunny Sunday morning. Good morning, Sam. Welcome.
Good morning, Tony. It is a beautiful day here in the valley as well, where the sun is shining. I think we're 7 degrees, a little bit of frost this morning, but no, it's a gorgeous place to live, and sure am proud of this place.
We should be proud of what we have, and we don't want to lose it.
That's right, absolutely. And no, I appreciate you having me back on. When we met last time with the nationwide protest against the carbon tax, that was a real learning experience for a lot of us that are still excited to be engaged in defending our rights and freedoms and our way of lives, and the whole do no harm aspect of how we should be carrying on a daily basis. But I thank you for inviting me back on here to talk about a couple things today.
And what would you like to talk about, Sam?
Oh boy. Well, Tony, it's an easy thing to do in Canada right now. Find something to, bitch about, but
it's not hard, is it?
It's not hard. They are bombarding us in all angles. We can talk, the education system and how it's being steered in towards a certain direction. Our financial sector. Our central CBDC, centralized digital currency, lots of things on the helm. You and I have both been having issues with the medical world. I've got lots of my community members that come in every day, and I see their health physically, mentally, financially. We literally, there's lots to talk about. But today I would like the audience to just know a little bit about what I've been working on here municipally. And then I would also like to touch base on the NCRP, the Nationalist Constitutional Reform Party that's being started, in hopes that, there is another opposition in the near future that can stand up with the truth and the honesty that we as Canadians deserve. And a lot of us are desiring it right now, where we need some level of adult conversation in these areas. So that's what I'm hoping to talk about today. I know our time is precious. I appreciate everybody that's taking the time to join us and listen in on us. Both you and I have been very motivated, very concerned about what's going on, and just really trying our best to analyze and come up with a positive solution. So, I don't know where we'll start, but
the municipal level, they're spending money galore, just like our federal government.
Well, I've been communicating and going through, playing in their court, trying to learn their ways, so I can be received in a professional manner. I reached out to my counselors months ago, and I wanted to know the big topic in the valley right now is the deed transfer tax, which is an additional tax that'll be put onto the sale of a property when the title is transferred. Lots of miscommunication with it that sitting in the council meetings and the meetings of a whole. I've learned that that dollar amount is not mortgageable. Yes, Kings County is the only county that does not have the deed transfer tax as of yet. But I have customers, new members of our community that have moved here because that wasn't an issue. That was $10,000 they saved on the purchase of their property. And these kind of facts are falling on the deaf ears. They're not being taken into consideration. When I listen to the councillor speak, we're trying to be driving the economy here and trying to encourage businesses and people to come and be a part of the Annapolis Valley. We were strong enough to really build Canada. If you look at it, Annapolis Royal down the street, not very far. Our land is fertile. Our resources are plentiful. I think that's why we were gifted the certification from the WCCD for the Sustainable Rural Development Area. It's an ISO standard that is globally, it's a global standard, ISO 37120. If anybody wants to look into it, it essentially allows global NGOs to study us, collect data on our actions, on our methodologies, how we spend, where we spend, how we communicate with one another. You touched briefly on the Facebook aspect of things. It's quite astonishing to think that they want to come and silence you and I just for engaging in civil discord, wanting to talk about bitter subjects.
It's like they don't want people to have their own opinion. Like they don't want them to think for themselves. That's not Canada.
The critical thinker, that free thinking is definitely under threat. I'm a mechanic. I'm a licensed technician. I'm a provincial inspector. My day, I don't know who you are, where you're from. When you walk through the door, I have minutes to figure out how to get you back on the road safely, on a budget, or affordably, weigh out the options, good, bad, or ugly. I have to be blunt sometimes. It's tell people it's not worth putting another oil change in this vehicle. Let's cut your loss or let's analyze it and figure out the value, the worth. And every single day I wear accountability on my shoulders if I don't torque that tire, if I don't put the drain plug in properly. And that is something that I respect in my colleagues and in our trades. Well, we don't get any of that in our political world. We're not seeing it. It's funny, they used to hide it better, I suppose, and we didn't realize that they are literally just gallivanting around doing what they're told. I want to know who's steering the boat for us across Canada. And I have actually found municipally that the talking points are very similar. I spent a lot of time in British Columbia, 20 years. I'm from Southern Ontario, family in Prince Edward Island, here in the Valley. And some of the things there is no coincidence of how they're speaking and how they're directing and essentially steering our municipalities towards, whether it be 15-minute cities or some form of an agenda. And you and I definitely know that Davos is real. If you want to tie into we just saw our budget, and they've reduced the luxury tax on yachts and private jets, but not on the vehicles that sell for over $100,000, which a farmer would use, which a contractor would use. So the transfer of wealth is still very evident for most of us, that the rich will get richer, and we'll have to keep taking care of ourselves, because they have no interest in caring for us other
So
than
Sam, you wouldn't let me come in your garage and run debts like millions of dollars that you couldn't pay your bills. So why are we, as the public, so soft on that? Like municipal, provincial, federal, they're running deficits. They're purposely trying to collapse the country.
definitely. So, to put it into numbers, the residential tax here in Kings County, uh, $432 million annually, and then we also have a resource tax and a commercial tax. So it is shy of $500 million that in 365 days, the municipality of Kings, excluding the town of Greenwood, the town of Kingston, the town of Kentville, New Minas, Wolfville, Ellsford, Berwick. This does not include their tax pool. This is just essentially the rural in-betweeners. $500 million, plus or minus. It, it, it's unbelievable the that they think they deserve more. I'm just asking for some receipts. I've been in council meetings and sitting and addressing the council as best I can. I'm cited to. I've done the application to have my 10 minutes for a question answer period. Um, Naturally, with the topic of my conversation, they are a little hesitant to be punctual on it. So it looks like December or January, they've told me I'll have my opportunity to speak, but I will continue to go and give my 2 minutes here and there. And
And
with me,
you're a taxpayer. That's all it's worth is just 2 minutes.
and to listen to our mayor and how he comments on where his level of authority is over me when he's addressing, like, just to make sure Sam, that you're only getting 2 minutes. And I got it. The last, the second to last time, I actually addressed an empty hall. There was not a soul in the facility other than the paid members. So it is what it is. I understand the level of corruptions that we're facing
If
in
it
some
was
facets.
if it was Blue Jays or something, the hall would be packed.
Yes, yes,
Bad, isn't it?
that's the great distraction, and it's working very well. We did a little toll. So here at Sam's Garage, I'll give you guys a quick little brief round. We're just a little convenience store. It's nothing fancy. I've got two old gas pumps out front, and I've got 6 bays out here where you can't really see it. Anyways, you get the gist. It's your good old mom and pop shop. And I have customers that are very excited about the Blue Jays, and I have customers that are very excited about the fisheries. And when we talk about it together, I sit here with my calculator, and I was like, okay, population of the Sky Dome, is 43,000. Average ticket sale at $500. $22 million in revenue generated on seat sales based at $500 per seat. And if with a quick Google, they tell you the average ticket sale or ticket seat price is $1,700. So to think that facility, every time they have a function, can net almost $100 million. I know why it goes to extra innings. I know why they're going to make sure they play every single game, because that doesn't include beer sales. That doesn't include your pennants and your gifts and your souvenirs and the accommodation. So that side of the world definitely produces a heavy revenue for a certain bunch of people.
It's called rate.
Right. Yeah.
And I never thought I would be to that point, Sam, that I would think a baseball game or anything was rigged. But after COVID, like I'm back here questioning everything. And I got people in my family like, oh, I don't worry about that stuff. I just live my life, or I do this and I do that. And that's how people, they're in a bubble. And over here's a cliff. And we're
Yep.
getting closer by it every day. And when they fall, that bubble's going to blow up. Oh my God, I didn't listen to what they were saying. By then, we all might be going over that cliff. And
Well, and paying for the push, I suppose, is the
Yeah.
hardest thing to swallow when it is our money that is funding the harm. And I have to be perfectly honest, being able to engage with the public every day here, I understand the psychosis now. 5 years ago, before I participated in the Ottawa convoy, I never had a whiff of doubt why I would question the CBC or CTV or Global News, because we did wake up religiously with breakfast television. And I mean, your alarm goes off, you can smell the coffee, you click the TV on, you go have your morning constitution, and you would never think that the voice that's talking to you, telling you the weather, the traffic, the world events, would have any skew or uh, any foreign angle. Um, and when I went to Ottawa and the cameras were turned the wrong way, and I'm sitting there with much effort trying to uh, contradict the the broadcast. And I would turn my phone on and I would do lives, and we walked the streets as mechanics, helping people out that were staying in their cars and staying in their trucks for, there were some really cold nights, and it was a trying time for any of us to maintain composure. As I think anybody in the freedom fighting community, or aware, or whatever it is, we know uh, that we have been infiltrated as well. So to live on guard constantly now, for merely standing up and wanting to help somebody, you know, it's hard to take. So, but now I understand that it is psychosis. Breakfast television, Global at lunch, Sandy Ronaldo at night, and we'll see you again in the morning, everybody, and they tip their hat. The amount of impact that the television has on the masses. And now, like, since I've seen it, I don't enjoy it. I get right bent out of shape. Even when CBC's on in the customer's car and I bring it in, my staff knows that it does trigger me, because it's state funded propaganda.
Do,
And of all the things we could be talking about, they are at the helm of the
do
narrative.
you ever listen to City News? They have a talk show, Todd Vino, um, 95.7 FM. I shouldn't be giving this free
Yeah.
MSN, but anyway, they have a call and people can call in and talk about issues like yours, um, about municipal, provincial, federal. They
Yep.
have a call in once a week. It's all over Nova Scotia. Dan Alstrand is covering because Todd Vino is out medically. Um,
I just don't have the time to engage with it anymore, because I see it as very harmful. The waste of time, the waste of energy, the mindset. I know people definitely deserve to have that detachment, because they do
I have a
a hard
positive
day's
note
work.
to that.
Yeah,
If people like us, more people would pick a day and all call in, the general public will hear it. Because when I listen to the talk show, like you can, it's a free call and
yeah,
you bring up your subject. And what you might see on Nova Scotia Free Speech Bulletin podcast or 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 the podcast, on Rumble, on X, and that I put my things on, and all the different guests. You turn around, you listen to the radio station. It's like going from one world into a completely different world. It's unbelievable. And they had three callers that called in all the time, Sam, all gone. One, two, three gone,
right.
passed away. And there's so many people passing away. It's something wicked. I just want to play a 2 minute clip and
Okay,
go back
sure.
because um, are you familiar with John Looney?
Not that I'm aware of.
He's
Possibly heard him speak, but
he's a funeral embalmer, and I want everybody to really sit back and listen. Now you know how outraged we were with the ostriches, right?
yes, somewhere, yes. There's
It
definitely been some.
Can you
Similar.
imagine what the Aussies went through? But what people aren't thinking, uh, you can see a gun and that makes you more outraged. But
Yeah.
what do you think of John Looney? I'm going to play this.
A few words about when doctors used to come into the funeral home and do cremation paperwork. And I would look at that as an opportunity to pull them because I couldn't resist it. And I would say to them, so doctor, are you seeing more and more deaths and heart attacks and strokes in COVID vaccine recipients? And they would look at you and the first look would be this for about 3 seconds because they were horrified that I fucking knew. And then they would do this and then they would look at the floor, they'd go, yes, yes. And there was a range of responses. One of them, the last GP that I spoke to, because of course they've abolished cremation paperwork now, so they're waving them straight through by a medical referee. You know, that was what was brought in to avoid another Harold Shipman. But now, of course, they're all Harold Shipmans, aren't they? Because they're all bumping people off by mRNA injections. But the last GP said, what was it she said to me? Oh, yes, yes. Oh, she went, yes, it's a terrible world. And then she held her hand out and she took the £82 check, like we was talking about the weather, and said, it's lovely to see you, John. And off she went, you know. One before that, what was the one from? So he said to me, he said, everybody knows. And by everybody, he meant all the fucking doctors know, you know, not everybody, because otherwise they wouldn't be lining up for them, would they? You cunt. But this is where we are. And they've got to live with that now. They've got to live with that. I can look at myself in the mirror and I love what I see. These GPs, they've been accessory to a biblical crime. Murderers, and they've done it for money.
Yeah. Democide
Yes,
is a
very
word that I
upsetting.
learned.
The tears could just flow because
The College of Physicians protecting themselves, you know, fall. I'm not, I don't have enough time to be educated and everything, but I do know that these bonding ages came from UBC. I do know that, you know, it doesn't take a lot of effort to follow the money and observe where the harm has been issued through, you know, to force the pharmacists to administer the doses and, you know, to really shift it through so there is no straight line of accountability. And, you know, we don't really have a smoking gun. You and I have been, I'm sure, shoulder to shoulder with some terrific physicians that and doctors and professionals in that industry that have been standing up screaming to high heavens that, look, it's not what we thought it was, or it's not what they're saying it is. You know, Teresa, listening to Teresa Tam out in British Columbia when it happened, and Bonnie Henry, the fact that they haven't even had their parking tickets or their parking passes taken from them for such harm. And I'm not saying that there is, you know, that it's gone through the proper channels to identify that what level of accountability they'll face. Some people are screaming for stainless steel gallows and let's rope them up. And I don't condone harm in any facet. But when we're pushed into a corner, we should at least be talking about taking their pensions back. And you know, like if they can't sit at the country club and go play polo and afford their $17 latte, and they have to, you know, they got to buy a $20 pail of coffee that'll serve the masses. You know, it's I don't know when we're going to be able to sit down and have adult conversations again. Listening to the budget and them talk about imaginary taxes. Like, what kind of lunacy is that? The impact of the carbon taxes, commercial, regulate, private, personal, whatever it may be, it is an additional fee that affects the overall value of our dollar, of our lives, you know, what we can produce with our earnings, what we can receive with our earnings. Yeah, it,
Hmm.
we're led to believe that that there's nothing we can do, and you know this is where I'm really proud of Gordy for the NCRP, the the Nationalist Constitutional Reform Party of Canada. You know, it's the only thing that's come across my bow that has any form of solution based, and it's really um, it's easy to read, and I know it's very bitter, but these are the things that the majority of us have been at least aware to or aware of. You know, the foreign interference, the pandemic. You know, it can no longer be cut and dry that the pandemic was well managed. We know it wasn't, and we know there were some people that were paid to be silenced, and there was a transfer of wealth, and there still is. So you know, we have to as horrible it is, we have to get back into that conversation. You know, we are facing a huge issue with immigration right now. It is a United Nations migration relocation program. Like, there are these policies and these programs that are well laid out, and they are being administered to the T. They know where certain people are going, when, why. Sorry, I see you wanted to speak there.
Oh, that's okay. This is what I think we need to do. And I've been doing it. If you, ladies and gentlemen, if you go on the National Constitution Reform Party, they're telling all about the platform, which I agree. There'll be there'll be a focus on finding about this COVID-19 deaths and look, they're going to look into everything. They want a new constitution. But anyway, that's not what I want to talk about.
It's not necessarily a new constitution. Like, when you look at the validity of what we have already, you know, was it signed by all members? Was it, you know, I unfortunately I don't trust the the current administration to be giving us a fair shake on any of the past and any of they're literally changing the definition of words to suit their agenda and suit their narrative. They are
We need
silent.
a whole new great reset, and we need to get out this parity. And this is where I'm headed. See down here
Yeah,
in the bottom, it says our brochure. If you click onto that, you go to this. Don't make the same mistake I did. I got a, I got a new ink cartridge, and it just took about the whole thing up to print 30 pages. Instead, I should have printed the one. And anyway,
yeah,
I did get a bunch, and when I give out other papers, I print this here all off, and I put an insert in with the papers so people get to see this new party. And the only way we're going to make change is we got to get out of
that's right.
supporting the same people that's never then
Right.
we shouldn't be debt free. This
No,
is our home. We're all putting money into it, and they're blowing it. They're criminals. If we stole something, Sam, in a store, we'd be in jail. If we murdered somebody, we'd be in jail. Like, they're murdering people. They're not handling our money. They're bringing immigrants over here. They're spending money. I seen an immigrant the other day, and I'm not racist. He said hello. I said hello. How are you today? And I asked him to come up, and he come up for a minute, and he's an Indian, nice guy. And I said to him, did the government pay for you to come here? And he said, yes. And I said, you know, I said, I just want you to know that I'm not against any of you. They're using you people to destroy our country, and then they're going to come after you. Like, there's people starving in the living in
yeah, yeah.
tents and stuff. And I think a lot of the different groups and people, and this is never discussed, Sam, they need to reach out to them. We
Oh,
all
I
need
talk to them all the time.
to.
It's where the it's where the realities are. You know, I have all my delivery individuals every day. I engage with with people from all over the world, and I engage with people that work with people that are new Canadians that are on the full subsidy, 80% wage subsidy. Okay, I got a heartbreaking story that is in, you know, our family business over 40 years. We've done party rentals in Southern Ontario. My brother, love him with all my heart. They're going to lose the business because he won't. We hire generational. We had three generations of guys that they put themselves through university, setting up tables and chairs and you know, making the best out of people's perfect day. That was my mom's gig, you know, that whether it was balloon decorating or making sure the glasses had no water spots and the silverware was polished. I was raised with making sure that when the time comes, it's freaking perfect and the table setting is perfect. I've rubbed elbows with some very high caliber people, I'm sure of it, without knowing, just because that was my job. I was their bartender, or I'd park their car, or, you know, we were waiting there to take down the tent for Q107's house giveaway. We had 45 minutes while they closed the highway to be, you know, and we had to have everything. Well, unfortunately, my brother won't, you know, there's no room for new employees because we're trying to employ the children of the people who helped us build the country or build the company, and all the competitions at an 80% wage subsidy. That's a huge little benefit. And you know, they can't afford to, you know, with the raise from their with the increase of costs of merely the hydro, the heat, the facility in, you know, Bolton, Ontario, Brampton, that place is booming. And with the pandemic, you know, I don't know what the future is, but I know they've done an amazing job up until right now. And when my mom called me and told me that was, you know, they don't know what to do, and she's in tears on the side of the 11th concession, I told her to call the mayor. And she's like, "What's he going to do?" I says, "He's going to do fuck all, but he has to at least hear that you're done, Mom." Like, my grandfather started a construction rental business in that town, and they helped build Bolton, Ontario with drills and compactors and you name it. That whole community in Caledon is, they don't even know what they're about to lose because Dollarama or whoever it is. Anyways, I'm sorry. It helps fuel me to right the wrong. And um, when I see $500 million being mismanaged just right here, and that some of that money is mine, and I'm running a solid business here. I'm trying. It's a very thin line. I run a very tight ship because I have to. The liability I assume here and the parts overhead that I have to put, I take a crapshoot on every single one of my customers. Can they afford me to put these parts on, and can I sit on it? Can I give the keys back to them with the promise that they're going to send me 3 payments of whatever they can? Yeah, you know, that's on me. And if I lose, I'm not going to go and blame somebody else for the fact that she can't pay her bill, or I assumed that responsibility, so I sleep in that bed. And that's not what we're getting right now with our municipal, provincial, or federal governing agencies. And that's got to change.
Well, they're not matching our money.
We just went through 9 months taxation without representation. Everybody that, you know, I would say we're almost batting 100 with the conversation here in Sam's Garage, because not a single person has come in and said, you know, I really like what that Liberal government's been doing for us over the last 10 years. I feel like our country is a better place. And, you know, since we let the WHO in, or the WEF in, or the UN in, you know, things are really, really turning around for the better. Well, I'm sorry, but we have to scrutinize all actions now because we're freaking broke. And with the politicians just asking for more and more, we're going to run the biggest deficit here. We're going to, don't worry about this. We've got earmarked funding for this project. It's like, well, we have, you know, so here, prime example is this ISO 37120. Here in if you're in the Annapolis Valley, the Sustainable Rural Development Program that was brought in 2019 was given to us in this cloak of sustainability and positive growth and yada yada and so forth. The companies and the businesses that are supporting the networks that are managing this ISO fund, they're unelected. They are classically, like it literally says in the Wikipedia definition that they are steering our municipality. Well, when I went and spoke to our municipal councilors about it, every single one of them looks at me like with mass confusion. They have no idea what I'm talking about. I've been to Annapolis County. I've been to Digby. I've been to Kings County. I've spent, like I said, public hearings, committee of the meeting of the whole. They are very hesitant on letting me in because I have no problems asking important questions and demanding an answer, not just being like, yeah, you get to me when you can. It's like, no, I'm going to stand right here and I'm gonna demand as an employee of us that you actually get to the bottom of this, and how much do we spend annually to stay current with these ISO certifications? Because if we're not gaining anything from the investment, then we're going to actually stop investing, and that could, you know, bring us back around and put some more heart to our hospitals, or a better infrastructure for transportation or child care, or, you know, things that we know are hurting right now.
We're billions of dollars in debt, aren't trillions, aren't we federally? I mean, we're really in the hole. And
So,
all
you know,
people are concerned about is Donald Trump.
yeah, and
Look
I
at
was just gonna
around
say,
this.
I don't want to give Donald any talking points at all, because I still, after 5 years, I don't see any different anymore. They all golf at the same golf club. They all get their
Bingo.
they all get their fuel at the same luxury station. You know, their reality, or their grasp on what they're, and they may think that they're not doing any harm because the psychosis that they're under, you know, or they're, whatever they're doing and whatever they're drinking or whatever they're, yeah, whatever they're taking that's prescribed to them, it can be powerful enough to weigh the mind. And what's happening stateside, the fact that the majority of the masses are more eager to hate one man across the border than, you know, right here in our town with Chris D'Entremont literally stealing the votes from the people. That is 100% fraud. That is absolute, undeniable. You made an election promise. You campaigned on a certain angle. The people trusted you. They gave you their votes. And within 6 months, you snuck out the back door and went to your new buddies and been like, I got all these people. Like, look, guys, look, I got all these people. Well, no, those are not your people. Those, you've just completely let them down. And there's
Should
a
there be
lot.
a non-confidence vote in the whole parliament? Because none of these guys are working for us. None of them. The Conservatives, the Liberals, or the NDP, they're all sold into the globalists. You know, like rats are with warfarin, people are with money. And that's what's going to destroy humanity when they bring the AI and robots in, because they know it. If we offer this Chris D'Entremont all this money, he's going to take it.
Yeah,
And we can we can make the Carney a majority government. All we got to do is pay them off, give them as
right.
much money, and they'll break.
And
That's
that's
how
where
they
people like you and I are a number one threat to them. Is, I don't care. I hate money. It is absolutely the root of most evil as far as I'm concerned, because a lot of people do have a carrot, or they do have something that they can leverage over them, whether it be um, you know, traffic fines, or you know, fiscal restraints, or whatever it is. They are professionals, and they have been studying us for a lot of years, and it takes essentially a broken man to look beyond the static and not give any onus to the threats or the rhetoric. And I'm a firm believer that the majority of them are cowards. And when faced with the confrontation, we will see that the house that they've built is on a fallacy, a foundation of fallacy. And with one slight little being like, no, that, and go away, go away. You've caused too much harm. And if you don't go away right now, maybe your term in the financial or the penitentiaries will be longer than you think. But entrusting the bar to defend us is a slippery slope. The judicial system, the Supreme Courts, what just happened in British Columbia with the UNDRIP and
Yes,
those property owners.
is that going to happen here? But I had some little insight that the natives sold out their rights to the crown.
So
Someone
here's
sent me privately. Like I never even got time to even dive into looking at my message, but
so this is where the NCRP is so impactful is none of us should own anything. We should all be stewardships of the land. We are all immigrants, whether we came over the Northern Ice Bridge in the unknown times. The fact that we're allowing somebody to put ownership or possession on imaginary lines is a great spot to talk. And if once we all converse as the innocent individuals we are when we exit the womb, then as long as you're not doing any harm, we shouldn't have any problems. You can love who you want, you can praise who you want, you can do what you want as long as you are not inflicting any harm on another being, because that's where I think a great place to start. And I'm not a professional at many things, but looking at different policies and programs and groups that have started to try to build momentum across Canada in the last couple of years, you can always see these little slivers that it's like, well, no, that's the way it's going to be or else. And I'm like, well, then you lost me, because there should be no black and white. We should always be able to converse openly until collectively we come up with an agreement, not
there's a lot of groups that could get together as one, and it's hard for people to connect. Sovereignty Alliance, I don't know if you're familiar with
I know
that.
Martin. Yep.
Yeah,
And
well, they got cure. I think he should be working with Gordon because them core values and stuff that we want our politicians to go by, that's something that should be in a new constitution. There's a lot of things we know. People need to get out and have conversations with people. I
it
do it, but
takes
I don't
time.
see anybody else doing it.
No, and that's because a lot of us are consumed. We are overwhelmed. We are concerned with or consumed with preparing ourselves for the next 6 months. If this is a classic Canadian winter, um, the big push to get away from the oil heat here and putting our reliance on NSP, um, those of us who are paying attention, we have a pantry and we have I'll make sure there's fuel so my freezers don't go.
What's up with NSP, by the way? Someone had a good comment on Facebook I just read. They said, I know it. I get a bill. It's an estimate bill.
Fraud.
Estimate.
It's fraud, because with these digital boxes, the smart meters that they've put on, there should be no room for question. If you're going to convince us to trust you, to trust the technology, then put the technology to work for us and give us factual numbers, and we will pay what is honest. I got no problems with that. But when I think I'm subsidizing my neighbor or vice versa, as soon as there's any whiff of doubt, the NSP thing I read this morning is they didn't pay their contractors, during this blackout. So they're going to be faced with fines and increased penalties, which, as any person in business, it gets handed down like these taxes. It just goes on. Um, just a side note, I've been a thorn in all their butts, and even Chris Palmer here, he did a couple town halls. And one woman sat there and asked him why she sat behind an Eason's truck on the ferry to Newfoundland and went and bought Webster's beans and Soller's or whatever it was, a Sarsfield pie in Newfoundland for cheaper than she did here in the valley. And that truck hauled that freight over a ferry to the Rock, and she was selling it for cheaper, or they were able to sell it for cheaper over there. And she addressed him with tears in her eyes, like, if we don't eat, we die. If we don't, if we entrust them, um, yeah, it's putting all our eggs in their basket. We don't even get to nurture
Our
this
food or
baby.
nothing safe, Sam. Nothing is safe. I notice when I go into outpatients, through outpatients to see my family at two different hospitals, mainly Bridgewater because they're the only ones that's open. I look in outpatients and I mostly see white people. I never see immigrants in there. It's just sick white people. I look on Facebook, I
Bleached
see this
processed
one
foods.
passed and that one passed. It's white people. What's up with that?
It's a depopulation agenda if you believe
It's
something.
towards white people. That's what I'm thinking.
I mean, if you look at the birth rate, I think what are we sitting at 1.66 right now? That is, I don't know if that's actually falls into the dead country stature, but I know it's got to be darn close. And the psychosis or the way, like our youth, it's inconvenient to be responsible now. There are so many other options, like to convince a partner to have those emotions and bring a child in the world and have respect for one another's time and emotions to nurture this child. The most precious thing on the entire world is your offspring. And yet people are so convinced that the color of their nails or the car that they're driving it far surpasses the importance of the breathing, eating being. um Whereas back in the day, and I mean, I have my hurdles as well, don't get me wrong. There are things that I want to continue working on with these parties. When the conversation turns to any sense of religion, it's I sympathize with how certain people have been attacked, and but really we have. I'm not a racist. That it falls their narrative that they're driving home doesn't work on most of us that were raised in Canada, because I was born multi-ethnicity classmates. And when the phone rings and it's 3 a.m., I don't ask what color your skin is when you're broken down on the side of the road. I put my coveralls on and I pour a coffee and I jump in a service truck and I come out and address your situation. And if you're in harm's way, I will put myself in harm's way to try to get you out of it in a timely, affordable manner, because that's just how I was raised to be. And there is more of us than there are of them, and we're just browbeaten. We're exhausted, and that's where we really have to lean on each other and be like, hey, I need you to be able to give me more talking points on vaccine injuries, or the sexualization of the children in our schools, or the whole separatist movements that are consuming the minds. I mean, love to see the people unite in Alberta the way they did for that, but it doesn't work. It's great to think, and I understand that they're being robbed, and it's not a thought. They're with these equalization payments, they are shelling out for us, and we gotta stop denouncing them for it. We gotta thank them and nurture our resources. This whole fucking Canada's not for sale thing. No, we're primed for the picking. We have been absolutely depleted and demolished. We have no gold reserves. We have
They're in on it with Donald Trump, for God's sakes. Club of Rome. If you search up the hashtag, it has a whole map of us being American. I don't even know how to sing the anthem, so I guess I have to learn it, Sam. I'll tell
I
you, I
have
don't want to be an American.
well, I have family. Like my father's from New England, and as a child, I loved my trips down to see my family, and a lot of them are first responders, and it's the pride of that flag when the sun comes up and they hang their flag out, and at dusk it comes in. Like there's emphasis on how they got there, and whether they realized it or not in the time, those some of those wars were over things that they didn't know, and that's not their fault. They were fighting rich men's wars. But they do know that this is not right. This is not natural. The division, the hatred, the drugs, they are well versed in the global harm as well, and that's why I can speak on this, because my Canada is very small now. I mean, I have friends everywhere since the convoy, and you know, stateside, a bunch of professionals that I was able to do interviews with. They were all on email chains, and you take what you want with it and really hit it home. But I know from what my family down south says, they are excited that their children are coming home from foreign conflicts under the Trump administration, and they're very they're the Doge aspect of it. They're happy that they're finding some mismanaged funds. Now that all comes with a sacrifice, and you and I look at it more as a uniparty across the board, but they don't. They are still very proud of their blue, and that's their choice. That is their choice, and I want to just educate people so they can formulate their own opinions on everything. To be told what to do and how to think doesn't work with our road
Everything's
go.
everything's been an illusion. I got to bring this up because I haven't brought it up. What do you think of Becky Durham walking across the floor to become an independent? I invited her on my show. I guess I should email her an invitation. I don't suspect she'll accept. I wish she would. She's got the chance now, or she probably signed how many documents that she can't talk about this and she can't talk about that.
Right.
I'm guessing.
That's I think we will be seeing more of that when you can't stare in the eyes of your children and know that you did the best for them at work today. And I try not to. Some of it's demonic. It's and the things that were probably put across her desk. I'm proud of her for standing up and going against it, but with her legal background, and her signing oaths to certain things, and you know, um,
But then
I,
again, it's like Chris Dunterman. They voted for her. I don't like conservatives, anything that they're doing, but she was voted a conservative,
yeah,
and and I love it that she left Tim Houston, but it still doesn't make the whole thing. It doesn't make the whole thing right. You know where I'm going with it.
I definitely do. I definitely do, and that's it. So whatever agenda or whatever meeting notes or whatever policies are coming across these politicians' desks right now in the last week or so, there's been a change in the tone, and their actions are speaking very loudly. So whether it is a Lore or a Houston or a McNeil or whoever is, hey, I saw this, or a little inside scoop, or they're getting it, and with the RCMP trying to incite the violence across Canada, telling the PMO's office that people will be foraging and, expect, civil unrest. I think by bringing these things to topic, they're actually trying to convince the masses to become vigilante or get aggressive. So then they can obtain the assault charge and be like, yeah, you know what? We need martial law. Look at these people are so upset, and they're saying these things online because, well, they never would say the things if you didn't do the greasy stuff. We wouldn't have to be aggressive and are hateful if you didn't give us any ammunition to or any reason to. So it's a
I know we're getting close to this podcast, but I should bring this up because this is really, really serious. I had John Carpay, a lawyer, with me. I'm going to just share the podcast. He's he's with the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms. He joined me to talk about Bill C-8, Bill C-2, and Bill C-9, like in
Yeah.
Canada. And if Bill
Huge
C-8, for
problem.
example, is passed and they don't like what Sam or Tony has to say, your internet and phone is gone. And if you talk about it, you go to jail.
Yeah.
Isn't that so Canadian? Like, what?
So this is where I know it's foreign, because it is not Canadian. And these, a lot of these programs and the grants and whatever it is, how they're being ushered through and being enforced on the people of Canada, it's majority is at a municipal level, with these silly little bylaws, and we'll give you a grant for this, but you've got to give us all this. And with the best of intentions, a lot of municipalities have signed their rights away, and without having a full audit of how and when and who brought these subjects to table, let alone who voted on them. Because I mean, we just witnessed here in our municipal election that they put it to a digital vote. It was the votes were not allowed to be scrutinized. I know friends that took it to Supreme Court. There was an agreement made, that there'll be more oversight on it, but the damage is already done. They if there was even a wisp of fallacy in the election, it should be redone, and we resort back to the paper ballot, something we can actually scrutinize. But no, we're not actually allowed to talk about this because it was put in, and this is how it is, and this is how it's going to be because it's easier and faster. It's like, well, it may be easier and faster, but guess what? It's not. It's not reliable. And when it comes to a person's vote in this country, that is sacred, and that is your way to express your thoughts and your emotions privately. And it doesn't matter if what side you sit on, what stripes on your pants. It doesn't matter. You can exercise your vote, your right to vote. And once somebody has threatened that or taken that into their hands, I don't know where we turn next. But
There are
I
guys like you, fighting the municipal level. I don't know if you know Andrew Himmelman. He's been,
Yes, from New Brunswick.
no, he's from down in our area. He goes to MODL meetings and
Okay,
he's doing this.
Lunenburg's. Yeah,
Yeah, he's a guy you should hook up with because when
I'd
you're
like that.
talking, and I had Andrew on my show, and I actually at one time worked with Andrew, so I know him quite well, and he's done amazing work speaking out in our municipality. When you were talking about municipal politics with us today, I thought, oh my God, I got to tell you, you two should hook up because you would be another strength. Because I
I'd like to
really,
meet him.
I really admire Andrew, and he does such amazing work. And he's been on my show a couple of times.
Well, that's great. I'd love to work with him or talk to him. I mean, and with the NCRP, like we need all of we need all of us that believe that we can still make a change. It
I do. You know what? I really,
we
look,
need
I'm
the
really
positive
for,
vibrations. We
I,
can manifest a better Canada for our children and for our immigrants and for the future of it. Like we have the wealth, we have the knowledge, we have the effort. Um, we with the physical issues that we're all facing, it's going to take twice as many of us because at some point in time, you are going to have to pick up your neighbor and convince him it's okay to slip and fall and to, be misled. And like, let's just get back at her, man. We still got 1,000 feet of fence to make it. And it's only you and I that
Sam,
have
I
the
sucked this
ability.
whole thing. I sucked this whole thing in when this started. I washed everything down. I was scared to death. And you know what happened? I walked around here one day and I said, oh my God, this is bullshit, the whole works of it. And do you know who I probably thank that for? The other side. Something very incredible. I even think it might have even been my mama because she loved me so much. I
You
miss
never
her
know
to
where you'll
this.
get your strength.
I miss her to this day, and I feel she gave me a quick kick. Tony, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
And I love her. I think even from the grave, Sam.
Oh man,
Sam, I know we're probably.
appreciate you.
I
Appreciate
would
everybody.
I would like you to say some final words to the public. Anything you got to say? The floor
Please,
is yours, my friend.
the floor is mine. The words, man. Have pride in yourself. Have have love and respect for your neighbors. That's it. I'm all flustery, but yeah, we got to do something, and we can do it. Like we're not building a game. We're just gonna fix this. And as a mechanic, I know with the proper tools and the right amount of effort, we got this. It is a worthy fight. Our children deserve us. And that's the bottom line. We have to address the foreign interference that has been nibbling away at our country, and together, everybody. No contract with you, no contract with me until I see you inflicting any harm. We're good. We're good. And an honest conversation. Please don't be afraid of talking about this. Question it all, and that's where we're gonna go. But have pride in yourself. Stop waiting to be told how to do something. Have the confidence in yourself to know that you can actually probably do a good job right out of the gate. And by learning in your own way, you might have a better rate of success.
I do have to say one thing. I know I shouldn't, but because we're closing out, but I want to say I fully support what Gordon Berry's doing. And I also want to say I fully support what Peter McIsaac and Paul Westaver and the independent movement, because we need independence as well as a new party. I feel that's very important. You don't throw all your eggs in one basket to be successful. And we've been throwing it in conservative or liberal and NDP all these years. We need to think different because nothing's working. Anyway, that's my final say. Thank you very much, Sam.
Tony, I appreciate it.
And I hope you need to come on again. You know what to do. You just contact me. Thank you.
Awesome.
All the best to you, Sam.
Appreciate you, buddy. Have a great day.
Appreciate you too. Thank you very much. Bye for now.
Bye.
I hear the trucks are coming. They're rolling around the bend. I ain't seen the sunshine since Wellington, and I'm stuck in Ottawa prison. Time keeps dragging on, and them big rigs keep a holding down on Wellington. I hear the trucks are coming, they're rolling around the bend. I ain't seen the sunshine since Wellington, and I'm stuck in Ottawa prison. Time keeps dragging on, but them big rigs keep a holding down on Wellington. When I was just a baby, my daddy told me, always be a good girl, take no shit from anyone. And I drove to Ottawa City, way down eastern town. And I can't remember all my words. And it takes me down. Hey, hey, hey. bet there's politicians in their fancy condo suites cheering CBC Global, waiting for their Uber Eats. Well, they say I had it coming. They say I can't be free. But those people lost the freedom, and that's what tortured me.